big rooster.
Ladies and gentlemen, adult friends, thank you for being here tonight. I want to talk with you about something that is bigger than politics, bigger than party, and bigger than any election cycle. I want to talk to you about Ukraine, about freedom, and about the choice we face now in America and across the democratic world. And I want to start with something simple. This war did not begin in 2022, and it is not some distant conflict. This war is the latest chapter in a struggle that goes back more than 1,000 years. How do you like that so far, everybody? I'm really using a teleprompter, and I think it's crazy. It's weird. It's weird. All right, I'm copying that. And now we are going to continue the great speech. This is all on the fly. All right, to continue the speech. Ukraine and Russia both trace their roots to the same medieval state, Kyiv, Rus, founded in the 9th century. The Kyiv, Ukraine's capital at its heart. So they share ancient origins. But after the Mongol invasion, their paths split. The Northwest became what is. Hold on. The Northwest became what is. The Northeast evolved into what has become Russia. The Southwest, today's Ukraine, came under Lithuanian and Polish influence and developed different political traditions, much more connected to Europe. By the 1600s and 1700s, as the Russian Empire expanded, Ukraine became a frontier between empires. Its people, the Cossacks, fought for autonomy. Ukraine signed a treaty with Russia in 1654, a military alliance that Moscow later reinterpreted as external submission. And from that moment forward, we see the pattern. Russia trying to absorb Ukraine and Ukraine struggling to remain itself. Hold on. The studio cat is causing a ruckus. All right. Okay, everybody. Back to where I was. Russia trying to absorb Ukraine and Ukraine struggling to remain itself. Fast forward to. Oh, somebody's commenting. We're getting comments. Hello, hello. Is this Ukrainian Nazi flag? No, sir, this is not Ukrainian Nazi flag. This is the Ukrainian flag. All right, let's get back to the notes. I'm going to continue this damn speech one way or another. But we thank you. All the comments are welcome. Fast forward to the Soviet era, where Ukraine briefly declared independence in 1917 and immediately lost it to the Bolsheviks. Under Stalin, millions of Ukrainians were killed in the Holodomor, a manufactured famine now widely recognized as genocide. And in 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed, something extraordinary happened. Over 90% of Ukrainians voted for independence. Not just in the West, but everywhere, including Crimea. They wanted what we wanted: dignity, democracy, and a normal life. Okay, how you like it so far, everybody? Still good? Thanks. I knew you would like it. All right. And to continue, let us be honest about the real reasons. The Kremlin gives 3 official explanations. Wait a minute, hold on. Mistake. All right, why are they fighting now? The Kremlin gave 3 reasons. For the invasion: denazification, protecting Russian speakers, and NATO. None of these stand up to basic scrutiny. So what are the real motivations? 1, imperial ambition. Vladimir Putin has said repeatedly that Ukrainians and Russians are one people and that Ukraine is not a legitimate nation. His own writings describe the fall of the Soviet Union as a catastrophe and portray himself as a gatherer of Russian lands. Number 2, fear of a successful democracy on Russia's borders. A thriving, democratic, European-leaning Ukraine is dangerous, not to Russia's security, but to Russia's autocracy. If Ukrainians can overthrow a corrupt leader and build a normal democracy, Russians might start asking, why can't we? Number 3, energy and resources. Ukraine holds Europe's second largest natural gas reserves. A decade ago, it began cutting deals with Western energy companies that would have reduced Russia's energy dominance over Europe. Where are many of these gas fields? Crimea and Donbas, the same region Putin seized. Number 4, strategic geography. Russia has always viewed the flatlands of Ukraine as a buffer between Moscow and Europe. As Ukraine moved towards the EU and NATO, the Kremlin felt it was losing that buffer. Put all that together, and the invasion becomes much clearer. This was not about NATO expansion. It was about Ukrainian independence. It was about a dictator's obsession with history and his fear of his own people. Against all odds, Ukraine is still standing. It is worth asking, how? First, Ukrainian ingenuity. They fought asymmetrically and creatively, using drones, decentralized command, and citizen intelligence networks. They turned cheap civilian drones into battlefield tools and turned the Black Sea into a place where Russia's own navy is afraid to sail. Second, societal resilience. When the state ran out of supplies, civilians stepped in. Volunteers built a wartime supply chain from scratch. Morale stayed strong because of Ukrainians. This is not a geopolitical chess match. It is survival. Third, Western support. Let us be clear, Ukrainians' courage delayed, but our weapons kept them alive. Air defenses, artillery, financial support, all of it mattered. Fourth, Russian failures. Putin believed Kyiv would fall in 3 days. Russian troops carried dress uniforms for a victory parade. Corruption, bad coordination, and terrible planning slowed them down, and Ukraine pushed back. Today, after 4 years of fighting, Russia occupies about 18 to 19% of Ukraine. But Ukraine is still free, still sovereign, still fighting. And we'll continue. let's see what we can continue with. The speech will continue, and we'll get all this down. One day we'll get all this down perfectly, but that is the speech so far. We'll go on to other things. Let's say, today the war has become a brutal war of attrition. Front lines are dug in. Progress is measured in meters, not miles. And here in the United States, our policy has changed. Before 2024, the U.S. was Ukraine's largest supporter, providing security assistance what it took for Ukraine to defend itself. Today, under the new administration, or the current administration, the U.S. has frozen direct military aid, no new weapons from U.S. stockpiles, no new taxpayer-funded assistance. Instead, the U.S. is pressuring Ukraine to accept a 28-point peace plan that requires Ukraine to give up land, restrict their military, and abandon NATO forever. And the world, especially Europe, is deeply concerned because the proposal effectively rewards aggression and invites future invasions, not just in Europe, but globally. Well, what would happen if the U.S. aid does not increase? Now, here's what the impartial experts say. Independent analysis, not partisans, overwhelmingly warn of profound consequences. Number one, Ukraine's front line will slowly weaken. Without American precision weapons, air defense interceptors, maintenance, and ammunition, Ukraine becomes far more vulnerable. 2, Russia will make new gains, not overnight, but over months. 3, civilian casualties will rise. Russia's missiles and drones will hit cities and no longer have enough interceptors to defend themselves, defend themselves. Ukraine may be forced into a disadvantaged peace, one that surrenders territory, abandons NATO, and leaves it vulnerable to future attacks. And globally, a U.S. retreat would signal to authoritarian regimes everywhere. If you are strong enough to invade and stubborn enough to keep going, the free world will eventually give up. That message will not just be heard in Moscow. It will be heard in Beijing. It will be heard in Tehran. It will be heard everywhere. Because this is not just about Ukraine's future. It is about our future. It's about the principle that borders cannot be changed by force. It's about the idea that sovereign people have the right to choose their destiny. It's about preventing a world where autocrats redraw maps at will. And here's the truth I want every American to hear. If Ukraine falls, the cost to the U.S. will be far greater later in money and security and potentially in American lives. Supporting Ukraine is not charity. It is not an investment in global stability and it is an investment in global stability, in freedom, and in peace. Years from now, our children will ask us what we did when a free nation stood against a tyrant to erase it from the map. I believe we should answer. We stood with Ukraine. We stood with democracy, and we stood with freedom. We stood on the right side of history. Okay, thank you for that portion. I'm going to do more. Not a speech as such, but more in some information that we have. Now you can call in here. It's a live call-in show. 410-921-9076. Give us a call. Discuss these views if you so choose. All right, there's some things that we must go over. All right. We want to go over these are the top 10. Now, these are the key military events and development in the war. Number 1, let's see, I'll use that as I'll do all this in the prompt. Okay, you have to, indulge us with the stubborn, the clumsiness of some of this, but we're just trying to learn it all. And we're not learning very well. Okay, it takes a while. We got comments here. Thank you for all the comments. Bro, Russia's definitely won this battle. You never know what's going to happen next year. Well, we don't think that Russia's won the battle quite yet. Not the war, I mean. Ooh, Putin just signed up in this motherfucker. A lot of people here, for some reason, some bizarre reason, think it's cool to make either jokes about this or talking about Putin as in a positive way, or like that's what side we should be on. Which gives me the question. Which is the question? What is the question? Why? Why do people want to support? Okay, all right. I'm going to go start doing some of the facts that I did the research on here. Okay.
Jimmy.
Oh, wait. Hello, hello. Hello.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Go ahead. This is Fez. He's our friend.
Hello.
Hey, Fez. How you doing?
Fez. Parts unknown.
Hey, Fez from Parts Unknown. I can't ask where you're calling from, but I know you're calling from Parts Unknown. Let me just do one thing. The official Russian justifications for their invasion, and this is fast. Demilitation. No, we already did this. Oh, yeah, I did that. Okay, what do you have to say, Fez?
I'd say about the so-called peace plan that Trump would have 28-point peace plan when he didn't even count 28.
That's true.
You knew it was phony. It's written by Russia, of course. So Russia will give themselves more territory than they have. Ukraine gets nothing. The states will surrender.
Exactly.
But actually, Turkey's already said there's no way they're going to let Russia control Crimea.
That's
Too important to Turkey. So, and then Turkey are naval allies.
Yeah.
Now the Ukraine needs the United States, but there's a lot of things that you get. Like Brits just gave them a system, Paladin system that actually is a small drones. They don't have to use missiles to deploy it. Mobile unit. They can deploy it anywhere if they need it. And probably the most advanced system in the world for combat drones. And anyone was shocked that Ukraine wouldn't accept this people surrender.
I know. Well, no one's shocked. I mean, people are scared, but not shocked. All right, I'm going to do it.
Russia just wants one chance. They withdraw, and they won't have to pay reparations.
I would say that if Russia would.
But they have to withdraw. Ukraine gets into NATO to guarantee their security.
Yes, that's what I would do. If Russia withdraws to its borders and no invasion,
have to move out of Crimea because they invaded afraid of, so afraid of Ukraine. Why, when Russia invaded Crimea, that Ukraine didn't start a war.
And also, I would say they have like a 6 months of no invasion, and then they can have sanctions lifted. But Ukraine must be in that 6 months, Ukraine goes into NATO.
Yeah, Ukraine has to be in NATO to guarantee security.
And now I'm going to do a quick comparison between Biden administration, Trump administration on supporting Ukraine. And it's about 5 different ways. Funding mechanism. In Biden, it was direct grants, weapons, and money as non-repayable donations. Under Trump, it's loans and European funding. In the volume of aid under Biden, Congress appropriated about $175 billion in total aid. Ukraine was the top recipient of U.S. foreign aid globally. And under Trump, minimal or zero funding. No new major aid packages have been requested or passed under Trump. The flow of free material is effectively halted. The strategic goal, as voiced by the Biden administration, used the phrase, as long as it takes. The stated goal is to help Ukraine defend its sovereignty and degrade Russia's military capacity. And under Trump, it's peace through leverage. The stated goal is to force an immediate ceasefire and negotiate settlement, utilizing the withdrawal of aid as a tool. The key weapons in Biden times was a stockpile draw. The U.S. routinely shipped artillery, Patriots, and Bradleys directed from U.S. stocks at U.S. expense. In Trump, advanced systems are only provided if funded by third parties or under specific loan terms. And then finally, in budget support, under Biden, the U.S. provided billions in direct cash transfers to pay Ukrainian salaries and pensions. And that ended under Trump, who directed the funding for Ukrainian government has been terminated. Before the 24 election, the U.S. was the arsenal of democracy for Ukraine, underwriting its war effort with nearly unlimited material support. Today, the U.S. acts more as a broker, facilitating the transfer of weapons only when paid for by others, actively restricting aid to compel Kyiv to actually lose the war.
Yeah, Trump's supposed to be so decisive, but changes his mind every other day on Ukraine. And then, that's only hurts Ukraine because Ukraine can't have a stable partner now, the main partner. So the European countries are picking it up. The French are going to send, I said, so this is future too, the 100 jets to Ukraine so they can defend their airspace. Russia continues to attack civilian targets, while Ukraine only attacks strategical military targets or infrastructure.
Okay, now go ahead.
And the amount of the war crimes that Putin has guilty of, and by giving anything to Russia is a war crime. They need to directly be removed as a complete withdrawal, and then they have to have a free and fair elections. Which I don't know in the system they could, but the minimum Putin needs to be removed from all Ukrainian territory, including Crimea, and then Ukraine becomes part of NATO, and then the United States needs to. We're already upgrading our systems, so these things that we in Ukraine have become will just be junk because they're not used anymore. Because we've gone out to the next so cleared out stockpiles. And we need to give them Tomahawk missiles and full use of more attacking systems and and more air defense systems.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick. What I could find is the top key military events so far. In May of 2022, it was the capture and siege of Mariupol. Russian forces bombarded the city for months. They surrendered, but after being in May, it became a symbol of the large-scale destruction and mass casualties. The next was the 2022 Kherson counteroffensive between August and November of 2022. It was Ukraine's counterattack in the south as one of the first major successful efforts to push back Russian forces. 3, the Battle of Bakhmut was in 2022 into May 2023. It was one of the bloodiest and most intense battles of the war, characterized by brutal urban and trench warfare and massive casualties on both sides. It became a morality fortress for Ukraine and highly symbolic prize for Russia. Number 4 was Russia's shift and escalation in air and drone warfare. By 2024, Russia increased its use of long-range airstrikes and drones, often overwhelming Ukrainian air defenses. This allowed strikes on energy infrastructure in cities near the border. 5, a Western NATO military aid and rearmament of Ukraine. So where involved, Ukraine increasingly received advanced weapon systems from Western countries. The United States. Not just defensive arms, but long-range artillery, rockets, air defense systems, and drones, and modern equipment. 6, Russia's capture of Avdiivka in early 2024. Ukrainians withdrew from Avdiivka to avoid being encircled. The loss was Russia's largest territorial gain since Bakhmut in 2023. And number 7, Ukraine's 2024-25 cross-border strikes and deep strike operations, including into Russia. In 2024 and 25, Ukraine increasingly struck deep into Russian territory, hitting airbase, logistics sites, and strategic targets. This expanded the war beyond Ukraine's border, forcing Russia to divert troops and resources to homeland defense. This signaled Ukraine's growing capacity to project power, shifting the war from purely defensive to partly offensive. 8 was the establishment of war attrition and grinding positional warfare. Over time, rather than rapid advances, much of the front stabilized into trench lines. The impact, long-term human, material, and economic costs, both sides. Number 9, civilian targeted strategy, infrastructure strikes, and war crime accusations, especially in Mariupol and beyond. The siege of Mariupol, bombing of hospitals and theaters, deliberate targeting of civilian infrastructure, all this by Russia, cutting off utilities and essential services, have all contributed to what many human rights organizations call war crimes. And 10, the evolving strategic and geopolitical nature of the war beyond battlefield and gains. The war isn't just a series of battles. Over time, it has transformed into a broader contest of logistics, supply chains, global diplomacy, economics, and long-term sustainability. All right, now my other question was what is the Russia support? What are people inside Russia? As of late of 2000, 2025 public opinion in Russia. But this is the resources are Russian state media, so it's characterized by high approval for the war effort, combined with a strong and growing sense for peace negotiations. Public support for military action is 75 to 78, according to these state sources, Russian state sources. Support for peace talks is also at 66%. That means probably people want to stop.
Well, the military support has waned when you have over 1 million casualties. Putin cares nothing about the. He just puts troops in the meat grinder and just puts them out on suicide missions.
Well, the other thing shaping Russia public opinion is censorship, propaganda, which has made a false belief in victory and a high nationalist view in Russia. The human and economic impact, casualty impact. Nearly 3 in 10 Russians reported in 2025 that they know someone, a relative, friend, or acquaintance, who has been killed in the war. Erosion of extreme views.
Yeah, also the hyperinflation in Russia and the sanctions have actually made Russia bleeding funds into even for the military, because they're going to at this present rate going to run out because they can't replace it as soon as which they're being destroyed. So they're sending these small units on motorcycles, and the Ukraine that got so good with the drones that they pick off these troops.
Yeah.
And
the support in Russia, of course, is high in places like the cities who aren't sending people or being affected as much by the war. And that's always the case in every war. And but the positive is that less people in Russia seem to be bought into the ideas of using these no turning back actions like using nuclear weapons. Thank God for that.
yeah, using nuclear weapons are nothing to
And then let's go one time to what do people say? What do the so-called impartial experts, which I hope they were in this gathering of this, what will happen if the U.S. aid to Ukraine drops or ends? Full cutoff by the U.S. military would significantly harm Ukraine's ability to wage war. That's obvious. U.S. air-supported systems, which have protected the cities from Russian missile and drone attacks, would run out of ammunition. Shortages in ammunition, artillery shells, and advanced weaponry would make frequent counterattacks or defensive operations difficult, leading to the deterioration of a front line over time. That's according to the Washington Post. And others warned that U.S. aid cutoff would allow Russia to exploit Ukraine's weakened defense position, and it could unravel all the gains Ukraine has made in their counteroffensives. And Russia could ramp up their missile and drone strikes on civilian areas, and a war of attrition favors Russia's economic and military resilience. So the hope is that the hope is that that Ukraine can hold on until we have a sane United States leadership, some like we one time had in this country, that we get some sane leadership.
Yeah. Worst president in history.
We have the worst president in history who seems to love Putin and wants Russia to
50.
succeed. And when it's not really clear, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's just why he wants to rule the United States that way.
Yeah, he wants Europe to be out of. He wants the end of democracies as a whole. So
Yeah, he wants the oligarchy like they have in Russia, autocratic government, fascist.
yeah. So what we're trying to say is, don't worry about your stupid political party. Just go support Ukraine and try to get your party, MAGA people I'm talking to, try to use any tricks you can. You don't have much, or you're not smart, and you don't have much. You're not good, but use what little sense you have to try to sway your party to get back into supporting Ukraine. They used to.
Yes, even Mr. McConnell, of course, aided Ukraine.
Yeah,
So we need to continue to support Ukraine because we need to stand up for sovereignty, democracy around the world,
that's right.
and we can't not let Russia win this war. Of course, Trump will change his mind tomorrow, and the next time he'll change his mind, and he'll say, but then he goes Putin anyway. And the climb that Trump has gone through is even what he literally had to begin with. He's really becoming even more dangerous
That's right.
as Congress's ability split more and more. He's delusional, and no wonder he filed bankruptcy 6 times at least. When the way he runs, uh, companies, like he's trying this country. On Article 2, he says he can do anything he wants. Okay? I read Article 2, Constitution. So, yeah, who told Trump about Article 2?
Yeah, somebody stupid. Okay.
Okay, well.
No, you can stay on because we're gonna pivot into another subject. This is a less.
We are?
Yeah, a more sports subject. And it has something to do.
The Super Bowl, the Ravens Rams.
The Ravens Rams in the Super Bowl, but before that I want to talk about the NFL passer rating. It's significantly changed due to its outdated baseline, which make it misleading in a modern high-scoring NFL, and the emergence of more advanced metrics like ESPN's total QBR, which accounts for situational factors and includes quarterbacks' impact on a play, such as rushing, sacks, and fumbles. But
taking into account the strength of the offensive line.
I don't think so. But the passer rating in the old days, 1971, NFL Commissioner Rozelle asked the league to develop a system. And it was created by Don Smith of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Seymour Seoff of the Elias Sports Bureau, and the NFL executive Don Weiss. I like the old system. I think the system needs a little tweaking, but here it is. We're going to go look at it. You can understand this.
The system is heavily weighted towards your yards per attempt.
Yeah, and it's also heavily weighted towards And interceptions is a big
yards per attempt are down because people are all using the shorter because secondaries are playing for stopping long plays.
The NFL pass rating now includes 5 variables: attempts, completions, yards, touchdown passes, and interceptions. Each of those variables is scaled to a value between 0 and 2.375, with 1 being statistically average. When the formula was first created, a 66.7 rating indicated an average performance, with a 100-plus rating indicated an excellent performance. However, passing performance has improved steadily since then, and in 2017, the last league average was 88.6. By 2020, it was 93.6. And here's the formula. If anybody can understand that, well, they're damn better than me. Everybody see this?
Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, cool. Well, that's animals here. All right. Well, that's about all on the show. I think the rating has undergone some changes. I always like the old, the system that they came up back then, 1971 or whatever. That's okay with me. I think if you get a high rating in either of these, any other formulas, the tweaked NFL formula or the ESPN QBR formula, then if you get it high enough, it's usually not wrong. And who is saying is trying to suggest is having a great year. A perfect passer rating, 158.3, requires at least 77.5 completion percentage, 12 yards per 0.5 yards per attempt, 11.87 touchdown attempts, and no interceptions. Yeah, Rod. That's all. I like the old formula. I like the tweaking form, whatever they're using now.
Yeah, but also, I believe
the QB rating's okay.
1970s, the Lamar Jackson has the highest percentage of completions to touchdown passes. So this year,
That's
that's
right.
pretty good. Now, Lamar should be fine for this game. He's a little off. He's obviously not Lamar.
We'll talk about
We'll
go over the. We're gonna.
we'll talk about this
Tomorrow night we'll do the all the games, but especially the Bengals Ravens game.
Ravens on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, but we're going to be on tomorrow, so we'll be able to really.
We're going to be on.
Happy Thanksgiving, all you good people. All right.
Where to begin? Okay.
We'll say good night for now.
Soon. Bye.
And see you later, Faz. Faz is down there at the strip joints or something. That's all right. He deserves it. Okay, we're not going to share screen anymore. Yeah. The studio cat is once again causing a great deal of trouble. Anybody can call in now if you want as we wrap up the show. Let's see, we're coming back. Get away with that. Okay, so that's our Ukraine show. We're working on continuing to try to work on doing a smoother transition of how we run the show. Of course, it's all a learning process, and we're getting better as we do our politics more seriously. And of course, we're the best in football, the best experts in football. So listen to us when it comes to politics, and listen to us when it comes to professional football. All right, now I will say we will see you tomorrow night, we hope, tomorrow sometime during tomorrow, Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and we will talk about maybe some local Baltimore stuff, do the whole NFL, talk about the Ravens' chances. The Thanksgiving is always a big turning point in the NFL season. So we want to thank you all for watching tonight. We would like you to like and subscribe if you would. Do that favor for us. And we will speak to all of you, each and every one of you, both of you that watch this program. And we will say good night, F MAGA, and God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world. And good night to all.